Okay, so good evening, all of you. So today, as I told you, people, I'll start with Spring framework. So let's talk about this Spring framework. So, what do you people know about Spring framework? Yes. Can you people tell me something about Spring framework?
Spring is an open source Java platform
Spring is an open source Java platform. Okay.
which supports robust Java application very easily.
Okay. And I got other answers also here. Used for enterprise applications. Okay. It's an open source, loosely coupled framework to develop enterprise applications. Yes. Okay, good. So, you know, Java is very popular and it was widely known for providing good support for developing enterprise applications. Okay, it was widely known for providing good support for enterprise applications, I can say. So, in Java, we had a specification called as EJB, Enterprise Java Beans. So, people used to heavily use this Enterprise Java Beans for enterprise application development. When I say enterprise application development or enterprise applications, what does that mean? We are talking about enterprise applications. When I say enterprise applications, what does that mean? Yes. Enterprise applications means.
Service side application.
Okay. Service side application. Okay. So, okay, I got some more answers here. So let me just check this. An enterprise application is a large software system platform designed to operate in a corporate environment such as business or government. Enterprise applications are complex, scalable, component-based, distributed, and mission-critical. Very good. That's right. So, which has business layer running over an infrastructure. Okay. Yes, that's right. You people will find that enterprise applications are developed for specially providing the support for an enterprise or a business, I can say. They are specially designed and developed to assist the business people in their day-to-day business activities. Yes. Okay. So you will find that as you people said, enterprise applications most of the times you'll find that they're distributed. They're actually distributed. So we can they provide the access to the applications remotely as well. So we can access it remotely. Often you'll find that enterprise applications are also large applications. Okay, with which serves different requirements of a business. Okay, it helps the business people in their day-to-day business activities. Okay, so such applications earlier we could only develop them with the help of EJBs, I can say. Okay, we used to only develop them using EJBs. Yes, but later on, people found that EJBs are complicated, they're complex, they're heavyweight. That's the reason why people were thinking about alternates for EJBs. For EJB, you'll find that always we need an application server. Always we need an application server for each of these. Application server is again heavyweight, I can say. So this is where Spring Framework has come into the picture. This is where Spring Framework has come into the picture, I can say. Okay. So I can say that Spring as the people said, I can say that Spring is an open source framework. Spring was created to address the complexity of enterprise application development. So you'll come to know about it. I'll be giving you people the EJP records. You can go through it as of now. Okay. So, but you'll come to know about EJPs as well. Okay. Yes. Fine. So you'll find that in EJPs you have something called as enterprise beans and message driven beans. Um, you know, session beans, and enterprise beans. You always need an EJB container, an application server to run this enterprise beans. To run this enterprise beans, you need an application server. Moreover, development of enterprise beans is also complicated here because we had a lengthy process which we need to follow. But almost that kind of development is extinct now. Okay, yes, almost that kind of development is extinct, so people are not using it at all. So when it comes to Spring Framework, you'll find that so we'll be using Postgres. That is what I'm going to talk about now. Let's see. It's been long time Spring Framework is in use. Myself, I'm using Spring Framework from 2008. Yeah, so that means it's almost 8 years I'm working. So before that, EJBs were there. Yes, but Spring has come before 2008 itself. That slowly started becoming popular from 2007 onwards. Yeah, 2006, 7 onwards, most of the time. 2007 and 8, I guess. Yeah. So I can say that here. Sorry, just a second. You know, there are certain key features which you need to know I can say that Spring, how it simplifies the development, okay, how it will address this complexity of developing enterprise applications. You see, Spring employs four key strategies. Number one, lightweight and minimally invasive development with posers. So that means here, you see, in Spring Framework, we'll be using posers. In Spring Framework, we'll be using posers. Poser means
Plain old Java object.
plain old Java objects. Yes. Posers are nothing but they are plain old Java object classes. You will find that they won't extend any classes or implement any interfaces most of the times. They're simple Java classes, I can say. They are basically simple Java classes or normal Java classes, you can say. They are posers. Next, you see, of course, you see, if you have to develop the applications using posers, it would be easy, right? So they're simple Java classes, so you don't have to worry about implementing or extending any classes or reading any methods. Yeah, and posers are always pretty simple and straightforward to develop. Okay, so you'll find that we'll be using posers itself in Spring. Next, another key strategy is loose coupling through dependency injection and interface orientation. This is very key strategy. You know, the Java objects which we develop using Spring Framework, they are loosely coupled here. They are basically loosely coupled. When I say loose coupling, what does that mean? Okay, so you'll come to know about it. You know, this is one of the key strategies. You'll find that always the beans. Okay, so in Spring Framework, again, one important thing, we always use this term called as Bean. We say spring beans or in short bean. Sorry. In short, we call it as a bean. Bean means here it is any Java object which we use in Spring framework. I can say a bean is basically any Java object which we use in Spring framework. It can be any Java object which we use in Spring framework. So they are basically called as beans. Okay, any Java object which we use in Spring framework is called as a bean. Please remember. So you'll find that here we can develop the beans which are loosely coupled. That means change in one bean, it does not affect the other beans which are using this bean. It does not affect the other beans which are using this bean. So basically we use the term dependencies for that. But as of now, for time being, okay, you'll find that you can understand it this way. Change in the dependency or change in the bean does not affect the other beans which are using this bean here. Yes. So you'll come to know more about it. Don't worry. So beans, if they are loosely coupled, then you will find that they are highly reusable. If the beans are loosely coupled, then I can say that they are highly reusable. In ease of development also, we can easily develop them. Yes. Next, yes, that's right. You'll see that when even one object is not aware of that other object which it is using. Yes, that is also right. We'll come to know about all those stuff. Yes. Next, dependency injection also is very important topic here. So you need to know dependency injection. Declaratives programming through aspects and common conventions. Please make a note of it. You'll definitely understand this. So as of now, just please try to make a note of it. Next, eliminating boilerplate code with aspects and templates. Eliminating boilerplate code with aspects and templates. Yes. Okay. So please make a note of all these points and let me know once you're done making a note of those points. So we'll make sure that in Spring Framework we reduce this redundancy stuff. Okay, boilerplate code means the most, the very redundant stuff which you have. Let me know if you're done. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So what about others? Fine. So these are the very key points here, the essential points for your Spring Framework. Now, next here, they can say that Spring Framework, sorry, as I told you people, sorry, it helps us to develop enterprise applications, right? Spring Framework also provides very good support for integration, I can say. Spring Framework also provides very good support for integration. First of all, I can say that Spring Framework an application framework, is an application framework. So what does that mean? We saw Hibernate framework, right? We saw Hibernate framework. When I say Hibernate framework, you see, Hibernate, why did we use Hibernate framework? Sorry, why did we use Hibernate framework? So you see, it is actually called as a persistence framework, right? Yes. So it is basically used by the Java applications to interact with the database server. Hibernate framework, you'll find that it only provides the support for DB interactions. Apart from that, is there anything else in Hibernate framework? So no, right? Hibernate, it acts as a bridge between the Java applications and the database server. It only provides the support for interacting with the database server. That means Hibernate framework, I can say that it is just confined to DB access, database access, right? It is just confined to that persistence layer, I can say. Persistence layer means in the application where you'll be writing the data access code, I can say. You'll be writing the data access code. So similarly, you'll find other frameworks in Java like struts. So when we talk about struts framework, struts is also confined to a specific area. We can use struts to only develop web applications. Okay, we can only develop web applications using struts. You can call it as a web framework because it just provides the support for web application development. At most, that is what we can do with struts framework. Yes. Next, we got Hibernate framework. Just now we have discussed. So we can call it as a persistence framework. That means which has to do something with storage, or you can say for a framework. That's okay. We have another framework that is JSF. So JSF is also a web framework, I can say, just used for developing web applications. So this way, every framework, I can say that it is confined to a specific area. Almost every framework in Java, you'll find that it is actually confined to a specific area. Yes. What about Spring? Actually, Spring framework, I can say that is an application framework. Application framework means what? So we're using a more generic word application. That means you'll find that here Spring framework, it can be used for developing almost any type of application, you can say. Okay, it can be used for developing almost any type of application. Yes. Not only enterprise applications, not only enterprise application development support, but you can develop any kind of applications using Spring Framework. It's, it is not just confined to enterprise application development. You can develop, yes, web applications. You got support for development of web applications, enterprise applications, standalone applications. You can use Spring in standalone applications also. That is how it works. Next, Spring, you can call it as an integration framework. So you won't find this kind of feature in other frameworks most of the times. Here Spring, it provides very good support for integration with other frameworks. Okay. You can use Spring Framework. You can integrate Spring Framework with other frameworks, I can say. You can integrate Spring Framework with other frameworks. It is possible. Like you see, Spring can be integrated with Hibernate, with struts, with JSF. Almost any framework in Java, I can say. Okay, what is the advantage of integration free? What is the advantage of integration? You know, if we can integrate Spring Framework with other frameworks, you see, you will find that it helps you people to use the components of different frameworks together. You'll be able to use the components of several frameworks together. Every framework has got something to offer. Okay, each and every framework has got something to offer. I can say this. Every framework has got its own features which you can make use of in the application development. So you see that means you got a flexibility also. You got a flexibility also here to work with several frameworks together. You got the flexibility to work with several frameworks together and use the components of different frameworks. You see, if we have the support for using the components from several frameworks, then of course it would be easy for us to develop the applications. For example, in Hibernate, we got very good support for DB interactions. Now you can make use of it. In Spring, just now I was talking about the strategies which we can make use of to simplify the application development process. So that will be one of the advantages again, right? So this way, Spring also provides certain components and features. Now we can use all these things together to develop the application here. Yes. Okay, so Spring, it provides IOC container. IOC means inversion of control. Inversion of control is also known as dependency injection. So what is this container? Only in Spring framework you will find this container. So, you know, which is very important. You know, this container, you'll find the Spring container here is responsible for managing the life cycle of the service. Spring container is responsible for managing the life cycle of the server service. Sorry, not servlets, Spring Beans. When I say Spring Beans, what does that mean? Sorry, yeah. Just now we have discussed about it, right? It is any Java object which is used in Spring Framework, I can say. Any Java object which you people use in Spring Framework. And when I say Spring Framework is responsible for managing the life cycle of the Spring Beans means what? So life cycle managing the life cycle of the Spring Bean means, you see, instantiating the Spring Beans, instantiating the Spring Beans, initializing the Spring Beans, placing the bean into service, and destroying the Spring Beans here. Also, most important thing here, that is actually lifecycle management. That is lifecycle management. What is it? Instantiating the Spring Beans, initializing them, placing the beans into service, and destroying the beans. Okay. One more thing, container is also responsible for injecting the dependencies. Container is also responsible for injecting the dependencies here. Or I can say that it provides dependency injection support. It provides dependency injection support. Provides, sorry, container provides dependency injection support. Okay. So what is this dependency injection? So can someone tell me what do we mean by dependency injection? This is one of the important services which is provided by the Spring container. It's,
Classes should be as independent as possible, and at the same time, they should be dependent on each other.
okay. So I got one answer. What about others?
Without creating an object of a class, we need to use that instance.
Without creating, okay. You're close. Okay. Let me explain it. Okay, you got other answers also. Let's see. Dependency injection is a design pattern that is used to define the object dependencies between each other. Okay, just defining the dependencies, that's it. It exists in two major types: set injection and constructor injection. Okay, just a minute, just a minute. So here, uh, dependency injection means yes. So before you understand what is dependency injection, first of all you need to know what is a dependency. So what do we mean by dependency? So dependency means dependency. I can say that it is an object which is needed for another object here. Dependency means dependency is an object which is needed for another object to accomplish a task or a goal, I can say. Dependency means basically it is an object which is needed for another object to accomplish the task or a goal, I can say. See? So that is a dependency. So can you people give me some examples for dependencies here? Yes. Can you people give me some examples? Let's take this example. You know DO, right? So even we people are familiar with the responsibility of a DO. It is supposed to interact with the database server. So here you see The DO, if it wants to interact with the database server, so what are all the objects which it needs? Yes. This DO, in order to interact with the database server, so what exactly it needs is it needs a connection object, right? DO needs a connection object to interact with the database server. This is one of the main resources I can say, right? So connection object here is needed for the DO to interact with the database server. That means which object is a dependency here? Which object is a dependency? Connection object is a dependency. So what can we call this DO? What is this DO then? So DO is actually a dependent here. The connection is a dependency and DO is a dependent object. This way, you see, always Java will be using, sorry, in Java you'll find that objects, they interact with each other. You'll find that it is always a collaboration between the objects. One object can take the help of several other objects to accomplish a task or a goal. In Java, you'll find that objects, they collaborate with each other to accomplish a task or a goal. So what are all the objects which are needed for a particular object to accomplish this task or a goal? All those objects are called as dependencies. All those objects are basically called as dependencies, I can say. Yes. So in Spring Framework, you'll find that the container itself is responsible for supplying or injecting the dependencies. In Spring Framework, the container itself is responsible for injecting the dependencies or supplying the dependencies, you can say. Yes. dependency injection. Providing the dependencies which are needed for a particular bean is called dependency injection. It is actually called as dependency injection. Okay, please make a note of it. If you are done making a note of it, let me know. So this is one of the services provided by the Spring Framework. Spring Framework basically it provides this service. Okay, so this is about Spring Container. Okay, Spring Container is one of the key features or aspects of key components. I can say, I'm sorry. It is one of the key components of your Spring Framework. Okay, so this is an introduction to Spring Framework. You'll find that in Spring Framework we have various modules. We have different modules. So each module it has got certain features so which we can make use of. So the first module is Spring Core module. I can say Spring Core. Spring Core module is actually considered as a fundamental module here. It is actually the building blocks of your Spring Framework. It is actually the building blocks of your Spring Framework. So if you want to work with Spring Framework, so this is the first module which you need to know. So in this module, you will learn the basics or fundamentals of Spring Framework like dependency injection, developing the Spring Beans, configuring the Spring Beans, understanding the container, bean wiring, auto wiring. So these are all the several things which you'll come across here in the Spring Core module. Yes. So first of all here, in order to work with Spring Framework, we'll use a couple of tools again. One is STS, Spring Tool Suite, which is actually in Eclipse IDE itself. So STS is an Eclipse IDE itself. You can say that STS is built on top of Eclipse. So you'll find that additionally in this STS, we have some Spring tools which are installed. We got some Spring tools which are installed additionally in this STS. Okay. Next is here, you need Maven tool. Need Maven tool. Maven tool. So these are the two things which we need here. Okay. So first of all, you have to download this STS. Let's make sure that first of all we download STS here. Let me give you the download link. Just a minute. Just a second. It's not responding. Oh, okay. So from the official site itself, you can download this STS. Spring dot org, spring dot io. You see, this is the official site. Here, from the official site itself, you can download this SKUs. So this is the link. So you'll find a appropriate version of Spring Framework for all the in all the platforms. Okay. So for Windows, for Mac, for Linux, for everything, you'll find that here. You got appropriate version of STS. Sorry, it started downloading. I'm sorry. So here, go to see all versions if you want. If you want different versions, you see, you can take the second link, which is more important maybe. Okay, take the second link. For Windows, for Mac, everything you have an appropriate version of Eclipse IDE. Okay, yes. So next, you see, always the Maven tool is part of your Eclipse IDE, so you don't need to separately install it and download it. Okay, yes. So once you got this Eclipse IDE, so you can start working with this Eclipse IDE. Okay, you see, uh, sorry, STS Eclipse means. So you can download a zip file and you can extract it. So once you're done extracting it, you can start working with it. Okay. Yes. So you get a zip file this way. See, you can extract it. Go into this STS folder. In the STS folder, so you'll find this executable file. STS executable file will be there. So start this Eclipse IDE. Just a second. So this is your HTS. So as I told you people, it is Eclipse itself. And what is the difference? You'll find that here we have some additional tools installed in this Eclipse area. Okay, so let's do one thing. We'll try to work with the Spring framework. So we'll try to develop a very simple application. Okay, a standalone application you can say, which uses Spring framework. We'll try to develop a standalone application which uses Spring framework. Okay, so first of all, here, if you want to create a Spring project, you need Spring libraries also, but that is where your Maven comes into the picture. So we'll try to manage Spring libraries with the help of Spring containers, sorry, with Maven tool itself. Okay, so here, first of all, to create a Spring project, yes, Gradle is there, so there are other tools also, but here, let's work with this, Spring project here with Maven. So file new, and Maven is widely used than Gradle actually. Yes. New Spring project option will be there. You should see new Spring project option. So if you can select this, here you have to provide the project name. So what is the project name? Which is Spring Basic. And after providing the project name or Basic Spring App. So after providing the project name, now you see the next thing is we need to select an appropriate template for developing this Spring project here. You have to select an appropriate template for developing the Spring project. See, just maximize this wizard, maximize the wizard. Here, if you maximize this wizard, you will find that you'll have templates here. You can select one of the template that is simple Spring utility project. You can just browse through this templates. So you'll see one of the templates here, which is actually simple Spring utility projects. So you have to select this template. Okay, simple Spring utility project here. So after that, you can click on next. Just click on next. So when you click on next here, it will ask you people to provide the package details. com.mcmtc.ham com.mtc.ham. So you can give any name you wish. But here, this is the package structure, so which I'll be using here. Which is the package structure which I would like to use. So after you're done providing the package details, you can click on finish. Okay, so we got this Spring Basic application here. You see, this is Maven based, so that is what you can understand. And you see, you'll find that we have a form.xml file. So this template which I've used here, simple Spring utility template, you will find that by default it will add the dependency details and everything. What are dependencies in Maven? You see, we have some dependencies here. What do you think? What do we mean by dependencies in Maven? Yes, Maven dependencies means they're basically libraries, okay, so which we need here. So in this case, these dependencies which you got here, they're referring to Spring dependencies. So we saw how to add Hibernate dependencies in Maven, right? So here similarly, we got Spring dependencies as well. Okay. Yes. Okay, so now you can download this. Sorry, the Maven tool will make sure that it will download these dependencies. Apart from that, it is also adding JUnit, so we'll also work with JUnit, okay, and Log4j for logging purpose. So these are the dependencies, and we have the other details here about the project. You see, especially these properties. You know what are these properties here in Maven in form.xml file? What are these properties? Properties means they are nothing but the variables which are needed here. Okay, so what are all the variables which you need? Properties means variables. So how many properties are there? You'll find that here we got couple of properties here. One property name is maven.test.failure. The other one is spring framework, spring.framework.version. And you see for that properties we have values as well. For that properties we have values as well. Okay. Okay. You see, these are the details which you'll see in the form.xml file. Next, we'll have a Spring Bean configuration file. So in the resources folder, you have a Methane folder. Under the Methane, you have this Spring folder. Under the Spring folder, you'll find this app context here. You'll find this app context. Yes. So app context.xml is a Spring Bean configuration file. You see, we have everything, complete project structure, the complete project details here. We got the complete project structure along with the files required configuration files and all. So what you're looking at here is a Spring Bean configuration file. So you'll find that Spring configurations can be done using annotations as well as XML. So we'll see both the versions. So if you're using XML, then you'll be using this XML. Otherwise, you don't need this XML file. You can use annotations as well. We'll see that. So here you see we have something called as component scan here, which is used to specify the details about the package. It is used to specify the details about the package where we have Spring Beans. So in which package you got the Spring Beans here? see com.mtc.app. So that means we are asking the container. So container will be reading this configuration file. So we are asking the container to read or to check for the spring beans, to check for the spring beans in the in this package. To check for the spring beans, the container has to look into this package here. So that is what it indicates. Okay. Next, how a spring bean looks like. Let's see how a spring bean looks like. We got an example. You see this template, what it does is, by default, it will add a spring bean here, a sample bean, for our understanding purpose. That's it. So if you may or may not use it. If you don't want, you can delete this spring bean. Okay. So first of all, you see we have this. We have this interface called service. If you can check this. So this interface called a service is not mandatory. It's not a predefined interface. It's just a user-defined interface. It's just a user-defined interface in which you got this method called get message. We got this method called get message. Okay. Now let's check this Spring Bean class. You see, it implements that simple interface called a service, and here you'll find that this is a Spring Bean class. How is this Spring Bean different from? So you see, the Spring Bean class, if you check this, it is very much similar to the, or it is a normal Java class itself. I'm sorry. I can say that basically it is a very normal Java class, right? It's not at all complicated. It's a very simple Java class. But how we are calling it as a Spring Bean? It looks like a normal Java class. How can we say that it is Spring Bean? Because of that annotation which you got over here. We have that annotation like the rate component, right? We got that annotation like the rate component, right? That annotation itself, it indicates that this is basically a Spring Bean. What if it is a Spring Bean? What is the specialty of a Spring Bean? Yes. Yes. So what if this is a Spring Bean? So what is the specialty of a Spring Bean? What do you people think? So Spring Bean, you'll find that the container is responsible for managing the life cycle of the Spring Beans. Container is responsible for managing the life cycle of spring beans. Next thing, spring bean also provides dependency injection support. Spring bean also provides dependency injection support. You got it? So the container will look for this bean classes which are annotated with at the rate component annotation, and you see it will be responsible for managing this spring bean process. So we'll discuss more about it. Okay. So in the next class, I'll talk about we'll practically try to implement this dependency injection. We'll see the advantages of dependency injection, how to make the beans loosely coupled. What is loose coupling? Even those details you'll understand it. Okay. So we're going to do that in the next class. How to develop the beans which are loosely coupled, dependency injection. So we'll see types of injections, bean wiring, all the stuff. So we'll discuss about it in the next class. Okay, so we have a class tomorrow at the same time. Thank you all.